I'm going to talk to you guys today about how to keep a goldfish from dying. And this is something that I feel like a lot of people think is really hard, is like keeping fish alive. A lot of people think they're really hard to keep alive, and that's actually the furthest from being true. Fish are really easy to keep alive if you're educated about it. First, we're going to talk about where to get your fish from. This is one of the number one mistakes when you buy a fish. A lot of people will go to places like Walmart, and that is not a good place to go buy fish. If you go and see, like in Walmart, they'll have like little white bubbles on the top of the water, and that's disease. You do not want to buy a fish from anywhere that's got a lot of them and you know they're not really taken care of well, because that's just going to start you off on a bad foot. You're gonna bring that fish home, and they're already stressed out because they're getting took in a car and they don't understand what's going on. So that's just gonna start you off on really not a good place that you want to be when you're trying to take care of a fish. And another thing, when you bring them home, you want to let them get used to where they're going to be at. So you want to have like a temporary tank to put them in. So you want to have something already set up before you can't just decide to go out and buy fish and go get it the same day. You need to buy all the supplies first and have the aquarium set up and let the filter run for at least 3 days and let good bacteria get set up. So when you dump your fish in, it's not all fresh rocks and all everything like that, because that's going to stress the fish out even more than it already was with the ride home and everything like that. So you really want to go somewhere like PetSmart or somewhere like that, or even a place that does nothing but fish, because that's one of the biggest mistakes is when you bring them home, you wake up one day and you decide that you want to fish and you just go get it, because that already is going to have them really stressed out. So you want to have an aquarium at least set up for at least 3 days and then go get the fish so good bacteria has time to set up. And you also got to watch when you buy fish and then you go out and buy a new one, because sometimes the fish that you've had will feel dominant and they'll try to fight. So you have to make sure that they're compatible with each other. And a lot of it has to do with cleaning their tank too. Sure, the goldfish specifically, they put off a lot of nasty. So within 2 or 3 weeks, their tank is going to be visibly dirty, because they use the bathroom a lot and they eat a lot. So, and the more food you put in, that's going to make the tank nastier too. But you have to clean their tank. And goldfish, as long as you have a big tank, they will grow to the size of their tank. And it's really, a lot of people get those little tiny bowls. That's really not good for them, because you're going to feed them and they're going to grow, and they're going to grow as big as they can get within 2 months, because they're not going to be able to grow anymore because they know they can't fit in their own tank, and that causes a lot of health problems too. So you're going to want to get, if you have one goldfish, at least a 10-gallon tank, because that gives them enough room to grow to where it don't affect their health. And the more you feed them, the bigger they're going to get. Normally, goldfish will eat one big meal a day, or two small meals. So, like I said, the bigger their tank is, and if you're feeding them regularly, they're going to get as big as your tank will let them get. And that's why a lot of goldfishes die, because people put them in those little tiny bowls, and then they feed them a lot and feed them a lot and feed them a lot, and then they just can't grow anymore, and they get sick. And you can't put a filter in a bowl like that. So if you're not using a filter, you're going to have to clean them more often, and most people don't. So it's just bad. If you're going to get one, at least make sure they have a filter and they can get some. You can put a bubbler in the bottom so they can get some extra oxygen. There's a lot that you can do to stop them from dying. Let's say that. And they have to be a certain temperature. You can't just put like scalding hot water or freezing cold water. Goldfish specifically like a lukewarm, about 70 to 75 degrees. You want to keep it around there. And they have all this stuff you can buy at a PetSmart or even Walmart. They've got temperature gauges you can put in there to make sure the temperature's right. They've got little fizzies you can put down in there to make sure there's not too much ammonia in the water, or there's not too much algae, because a lot of times where they let off all that stuff, they'll get algae within like 2 or 3 days of you cleaning their tank. So you're gonna want to make sure that you clean their tank out regularly. You change their filter every month. There's no if, ands, or buts about that. You have to change their filter, or it's gonna be nasty. And even if you change their water, you clean all the rocks out in their aquarium and clean all their flowers out, and then you put all new water back in, and you don't change their filter, it's still gonna be nasty within 3 or 4 days, because that filter is just filtering out bad stuff. So, and I got most of this information out of just experience of having fish growing up, and PetSmart.com, PetMD, and Pure Goldfish. That's where I've got all this information if you guys would like to go and read more up about it. But I hope this was informative for you guys.